Hello to all the Atlanta United fans. My name is Jurgen Damm, and you are watching Scarves and Spike, an Atlanta United podcast.
It is Our Lady United match review podcast here on Scarves and Spikes. It's Sydney. I almost said Henry and Tommy. We have Tommy here. We have Jackson here. No Tyler tonight. No Tyler this episode. But we'll soldier through, gentlemen, as we look back at Lady United's 3-0 loss to Orlando City at Energy Coast Stadium on Saturday night. Before we get started, one word to describe the loss to Orlando. Jackson, start with you. One word.
Oh man,
describe the loss.
Only one. Only
word.
One.
Or two words.
From a fan's perspective, I think you said it best. Soldiering on. Like the fan base is left with nothing but soldiering on through this, and it's just really. Here's one word: disheartening.
Yeah, disheartening.
It's just such a pain to see a team with this much expectation and this much hype, probably more than any other Atlanta United team coming into the season, and this is how it's going.
Yeah,
just disheartening.
Tommy, what's your one word to describe Atlanta United's loss to Orlando City?
I feel like I'm in the Blair Witch Project right now. I get 2 words. If he gets 2 words,
go ahead.
I get 2 words. Absolutely pathetic.
Go ahead. Go.
I said it. Absolutely pathetic.
Not just pathetic.
Yeah, right. Not just pathetic. Absolutely pathetic.
No, you've regressed so much from the beginning of the season where it looked like it was going to improve. You had some defensive issues, but you were still creating offensive chances. And now you're not getting hardly any offensive chances. Your defense looks terrible. Right. You're just giving the ball back immediately. I mean, I said to you, Sydney, earlier, I said, why do we have to do this? Why don't we just play a replay of Monday talking about last week? Because it's the exact same thing. It's unwatchable.
Same song, different week.
Yeah, we had people in our watch along saying why, if it wasn't for the watch along, they would have turned it off at half.
Yeah,
I would have turned it off at half.
No, I mean that's where we are right now. I said the other night, well, after the match, I said during our 3 takeaways, I'll say it again. You would have thought that the loss to Philadelphia would have woken you up and said, we just got our brains kicked in 3-0 away to the Philadelphia Union. We can't let that happen again. Guys, guess what? The same thing happened again. It's just frustrating. Why were you having the same discussions about this team 10 matches in? You figure and Tommy, going back to your point, I mean, this team wasn't giving up a crap ton of goals when the season started, it seemed like. Now you've given up, 6 in your last 2 matches. And right now you've conceded, 19 goals. I just saw it for the first time. 19 goals conceded this season through 10 matches. I'm sorry. That is more than or less than only Chicago, who gave up 7 last night on Saturday night. And then DC United has given up 22 goals. Atlanta United has given up 20 or 19, I should say. Kansas City, 21 goals. So that's where you are right now. This defense, I mean, injuries, yes, but defensively, you aren't making things happen. Dyla said, "Hey, I'd rather win a match 5-4 than 1-0." I mean, now you can't win. Now you can't win anything because you're not scoring, and you can't keep the ball in the back of the net. So where do we go from here? I mean, it's kind of a rhetorical question, but where do we go from here?
What's really sad about that is that Chicago they gave up those 7 goals last night, and then DC had their game with San Jose where they conceded 6, and Atlanta is just racking them up game after game. There is no one game outlier.
Could be worse.
Boosting that. Like I'd rather have 7 of those 19 goals come from one game and just put that behind you. But when it's every game, like back to back, 3 goals conceded.
Yeah.
With a defense that, I mean, Stion's going to be out another couple weeks at least.
Right.
I mean, you've got Muyumba also out another couple weeks at least. So you're playing these guys and you have nowhere to turn. You just have nowhere to turn, and you can't expect it to improve. And that's the really sad thing about all of this, is that you just have no expectations of it improving at all.
Henry said it. You go into every match expecting them to lose. When's the last time you expected Atlanta United to lose a match? Like, it's just
last season.
It's just a tough. Well, last season, but I mean, we're still. I mean, it's just you can't. You're going to matches thinking, "Gosh, I hope Atlanta United at least draws." I mean, that's where we are right now. You can't even do that. Now you're giving up 3 goals a game. So it's just, gosh. And you guys know where I stand on the Fire Dyla thing. I don't think you're at that point right now, but what
you're damn close. You are damn close to it.
How close do you think?
A complete Nashville disaster next weekend, because I mean, pull the comment up from GG for GT, and I'll read it. I mean, the greatest concern I have now was the dead stares into the distance of our guys during the game when bad things happen, not even talking with each other. Most of them look like drones. That is when you lose a team. And we said almost the exact same thing when Gonzalo Pineda was on his way out. There were no answers to this team. They were not scoring goals. They were allowing a lot of goals. It was, the team just looked uninterested.
Yeah.
And it looked like he lost the team. And right now, I understand you're going through a bad stretch, but you're not doing anything. It doesn't look like a team that knows what the other one is doing. Right. And that's ultimately the person that's going to take responsibility for that in any sport is the coach.
And to that point, though, I've said before, players need to take ownership, and I definitely see where you're going. To that point, too, Dyla has to make the changes needed to make this team better. Right now, you have Miguel Marón starting on the wing, where he's proven that's not his best position. You have Saba starting on the left wing. You've proven that's not his best position. You have Marichuk as your number 10, and my gosh, that's not worked out nearly as well as anyone would have hoped. So I feel like we're kind of in some form or fashion, Frank de Boer 2.0, but much worse. At least you were drawing matches.
Frank de Boer.
So in the fact that he was stubborn, the fact that he said, "This is the way we're playing, and I'm not moving off of it." To his credit, he moved off of it, and coincidentally, of course, not coincidentally, but by no coincidence, Atlanta United started winning matches, and they were good. I feel like we're kind of at that crossroads right now where, somebody in the locker room has to say something. I mean, has to stand up and say, "Hey, we need to improve. We need to change tactics. We need to change placements of players. We need to put players in the position to succeed. Otherwise, this is going to keep going downhill even further." Someone in the locker room has to get in his ear and say that, because if not, we're just going to keep going down the same path. So that's why I said it's more like Frank de Boer.
Okay. I mean, I guess it's a combination of Frank de Boer and Pineda. I mean, it's the players look dead inside like that. I mean, even though Frank de Boer, through a lot of him being stubborn, they still got some results. Oh, there's a light here. You can see me now.
Yeah.
They still got results. They might have been like 1-1 draws or 0-0 draws, but he was still getting, he kept them alive until, obviously then he did change everything that he needed to, and then they became a countering team again, and then they started scoring a ton of goals. We're not staying alive though right now. We're having terrible. It's getting worse every week.
Yeah,
and there's no signs at all that things can change. There's absolutely none. And when you have that, that's when you got to start wondering. And I see it here. If this was the EPL, he'd be fired already. I know
But
it's a little bit different.
Yeah,
I understand it's not, but when you have such high expectations for this team and with all the money you've thrown on, and you're putting this product out, there has to be a conversation. There has to be. I mean, unless Garth is in agreement that this roster that still has a lot of pieces on it that are not working out, which includes some of the players that he's brought on as well.
Yeah.
So he can't take the Carlos Bocanegra blame anymore and say, well, a lot of these guys weren't mine. Some of these guys he has brought in that are not working out. So how does, if he agrees the roster's bad, then Ronnie's probably safe for a little bit longer. But if he still thinks that they still have the right pieces here and they're not being used correctly and the players have a terrible attitude, then he might have to make a change.
Jackson, where do you fall on this? I mean, I'm interested to hear what you have to say. Like, I mean, are you, I guess, running in, running out? Where are you? What are your thoughts?
There has to be a point of no return. There has to be a point at which you say there's no going back. I mean, once you lose the team, and at this point you can't change the team. The transfer window is closed. If a change needs to be made, you only have one option. And I think the real crossroad here is Dyla's tactical stubbornness.
Yeah.
Once he's forced to experiment, to roll the dice, to gamble, at that point, if things still don't go well, you're done. You're out of options. With the stubbornness, with the maintaining this tactic, players in their positions, which Henry put out a great article today on the tactical, I guess, stubbornness of playing players and not making any changes to their positioning, not making any changes to their roles. But Dyla has that card, at least, of saying that his tactics need time to form, his player selection needs time. I mean, that time's quickly running out. But once you start pivoting from that, he's kind of conceding that his plan did not work at that point. And once you do that, then you might as well make a change. If the coach you brought in isn't able to implement the tactics that he was brought in to implement, then find another one that will. And that line approaches closer by the day. And I don't know how much more it can withstand.
Do you give him, I mean, you have the 3-match or the 6 matches away. Do you think he makes it to that point as we stand right now? Do you think he makes it to that point?
It's like I think everybody has the same expectation with that away stretch. I think so. You have next month. You have 3 home games. Towards the end of the month, you have Philadelphia, you have Cincinnati, you have Orlando. I think after that Orlando game, even then, it might be a pretty long time. But at that point, like, if you're not getting points with another 3-game homestand, your time's up.
I mean, again, you guys know where I stand, but I mean, at some point, those conversations may have to take place. Listen, the goal of this team, at the very minimum, is to make the top 4, right? You're far from that right now. I mean, if you take a look at the standings in the Eastern Conference, you're not even close. You're on 9 points, 5 behind the playoff line. New York City FC has 14 points. This team right now, if you look at the top 4 teams, Philadelphia and Charlotte are tied at 19 points. It's going to take some doing for this team to get into that zone, that top 4 zone. So, it's if you're kind of middling and you kind of tread water a little bit. You get a win here or there. I think you do keep him, but at the same time, I mean, you have to keep in mind what this team's goal was. What this club's goal is to ultimately win trophies, right? But I think, and let's throw in 2, you have Leagues Cup, which you haven't proven you can win a game of that anyway. So I don't know how high our expectations should be on that, but I think to your point, Jackson, we're kind of getting forward. We're kind of getting close to an inflection point as far as it relates to Ronnie Dyla's job. And I don't think it's hyperbole to say that, but I think it's a realistic possibility if things don't turn around soon. Again, given the expectations put on this team, not only in the offseason, but by Garth Lagerwey himself. Real quick, before we move on, a couple of housekeeping notes. One of the things, Sweetwater Brewing Company, I should say, Sweetwater Brewing Company, sweetwaterbrew.com. That's where you can get more information on them. They do the Rowdy Peach IPA. They do all kinds of brews, all kinds of drinks. Of course, they had the 420 Fest last weekend, Easter weekend. We thank them for their sponsorship and support of Scarves and Spikes. Sweetwaterbrew.com for more information. And on Saturday, before the Nashville SC match at home at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, we will be at the Signia by Hilton Atlanta inside the Nest on 4 bar, starting at 12:30 to get you ready for that match. We'll get you out by 1:30. Knows about 2:45 kickoff or so, give or take. Could be 2:55, but we'll get you out in plenty of time to get yourself over to Mercedes-Benz Stadium in time for the match. So that is on Saturday. I'll be there. Tyler will be there. I think Henry, I'm pretty sure Henry will be there. Jackson will be there. And yeah, it's going to be hopefully a good time. Hopefully we'll be talking about a win. If you can't make it out, definitely we'll be streaming it on YouTube and X and all that good stuff. By the way, also subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeart. Go to scarvesandspikes.com as well and patreon.com/scarvesandspikes. All right, that's a lot. Just wanted to get that out of the way before we get too further along. Guys, no shots on goal against Orlando.
It's pathetic.
Yeah, I mean,
your XG was 0.5?
0.7, I think it made it up to.
Oh, goodness.
So not even full goal, but there's a little discussion about Saba maybe forced to save toward the end of the match, but right now looks like Atlanta still credited with no shots on goal. I mean, we said it earlier, you're not even producing chances. I don't think he registered a big chance. If he did, it was very rare. But guys, at least put a shot on goal, put a shot on target to at least test Pedro Galleste, who we know is on his day a good keeper, but it's shaky. I mean, he's had moments where he's been very shaky, and you can't even test him. You can't even make him work really at all. It's just very frustrating, very disheartening to see this the match after match. Of course, Nashville coming up, who just put 7 against the Chicago Fire. I mean, you're kind of bracing for impact when the Fire when Nashville SC comes down on Saturday.
Double digits.
Yeah, yeah, no, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm just kind of lost for words. I feel like we're saying the same thing over and over again with this team.
Well, it's funny how go ahead, Tommy.
I was going to say, what is Saturday going to look like in an afternoon game where historically they haven't really filled up very easily on Saturday afternoons? So you have an afternoon game, and you are coming off your 2 worst back-to-back road games. You are on a streak of the most amount of time without scoring a goal. What is that crowd going to look like on Saturday?
Plus
that's, I mean, hopefully the Signia is jamming, and then people might go home after the Signia when they hang out with all of you. But after that, I mean,
hopefully not.
The fan base has been up and down, and that's why I said earlier in the week that the person that needs to get in front of this is Garth Lagerwey. He does. He needs to say something here, because Doug's going out there at the beginning of every presser talking about the new records Atlanta United set for being the shittiest team of all time in this franchise so far. It's the absolute bottom of the barrel here. When you set a record for money spent and you bring back a club legend and everything has gone down to nothing, you need to hear from someone. The fans do. At least I think that you do when if things are that bad. It's easy to be, and I said this before, but it's going to keep happening here. It's just it keeps adding up. Like, was the summer transfer window gonna he sells someone and brings someone new and then he shows back up?
Yeah.
Like, unfortunately, with this history of this team and how it has worked in the past is you have a representative that talks to the fans. You had one for a very long time in Darren Eales. I understand times have changed. It's not the Darren Eales or Carlos Bocanegra, but the fans are still asking questions here, and you still get the whatever his role is with the Hawks. I forget his name. I think he's like the president of the Hawks. He's on a 92.9 every Friday.
Yeah.
Win or lose, this team could be on an 8-game losing streak, which I'm pretty sure the Hawks did at one point this season. But he was still on there talking about the league and about the team and everything. The NFL is a little bit different there, but we have come accustomed to hearing from the front office on a regular basis. We have not heard from them in a very long time here, at least that I know of. We talked about maybe he's been on the pre-show, but we don't. I haven't seen anything about it. But someone needs to say something here to get the fans, maybe just a little understanding on what's going on here. I understand that they made the comment, that Ronnie made the comment about, them moving on from Silva because they wanted to give themselves a little bit of room in the next window there. But that's, I don't want to hear from him anymore.
So
I've heard enough of from all the players. All the players say the same thing every week. We just got to try harder, push harder. What did Ronnie say? Oh, it's through the love of the game that they're going to get through this. That's bullshit.
So
it really is.
Let me ask you this. What specifically do you want to hear from Garth Lagaway at this point? Like, what message do you want him to say?
Steve Koonin, Zach, thank you.
Steve Koonin.
Sorry, that was the Hawks thing. I love Steve Koonin. Listen to him.
Yeah.
What do I want to? I want to say that I want him to say that. Obviously, things aren't working, and we're trying to make it better. And look, it's not going to make nothing he says is going to make it better here. But when you come out when the times are good, and there's been some. I know there hasn't been a lot of good times since Garth Lagaway's come in here, but but when this team was making a run to the playoffs, he was showing up on the radio. When he signed Marinchuk, we're back, baby. Brought it up.
Right.
When Miguel Almiron and Latte Lath, he was doing the press tour, talking about how great it is, Atlanta United's back, all of this, everything's great. But now we're at the lowest of lows, and I feel bad, and I know it's part of their jobs, but the players have said everything that they can, which is responses back to this. The coach he keeps getting answered or keeps getting asked the same questions. And it's just the same. And obviously, people are frustrated with Ronnie because he's not making the changes that he has. Someone needs to say something to the fan base right now because you went last year with obviously you raised ticket prices. The fans were upset. You had a lot of people posting the screenshots how proud they were that they were canceling their tickets, and then when you bring in the new players, it's like, oh, okay, well, now everybody's back on board here. But now you're back to where you were last summer. You are
you're worse than you were last summer.
Well, yeah, I mean,
you are.
You are, but I mean, as far as I don't know, because you gained a lot of goodwill at the end of the year. You did. And obviously that just comes from beating Montreal and beating Miami. All your goodwill that you packed up from your signings, the Miguel Almiron PR that you got from that, and the great videos that they made of him at the airport, gone. Latte Lath, record signing, gone. Miami, Silva scoring the game winner. All of that is gone. You are back to the summer where the fans were protesting the price increases. All of that. That is how low it is right now with this fan base.
Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree. I mean, Jackson, what do you think? If you were Garth Lagaway, what did you want to say to the fans?
What I would ask from Garth from the front office is to be transparent about current expectations. To up front, you can say, obviously the season hasn't met expectations. Here's what we need to see by this time or we need to make these moves. I think that would go a long way. Explaining the moves that are available, that are at their disposal. Obviously, you can't bring in players right now, but I mean, an update on their current options and what they're actively doing to resolve the situation. Because yeah, you're going to get the same. It's not going the way we wanted it to. Right? We all know that. You'll hear that from the players, coach, front office. But those are just water is wet, sky is blue. You know, that's not going to do anything. You need to hear. You need to make the fans feel like they're more involved. Give them some insight into those discussions that have to be happening in Marietta as to what can be done. What can be done? Because the fans are so divided on which player is the reason. They're all looking for a scapegoat.
Yeah.
What does the front office see in this squad? What directions can they take? And what's the timeline on making those decisions? And then that would give the fans a lot of leeway to have well-formed opinions about this team, because right now everybody is just so scattered because they've been sold on this idea that this team is going to be the best squad that the club's ever seen. And they were sold on that, you know, the entire offseason and the whole first month of the season. And that hasn't come together. You have to be upfront, you have to be clear, you have to be honest, and bringing the fan base together through that is almost at this point all you can do besides a miraculous turnaround in form. You can bring you can bring the fans together with honesty, with a common discussion point.
Yeah.
And having clear expectations, having those clear discussions would help a lot. And that's what I would want to hear.
I don't want to hear the positives then. I don't want to, when good things do happen, I don't want you just to all of a sudden say his name and Garth appears. If anyone gets the Joe Hendry reference on here, I appreciate it. But you got to be there in the good times and the bad. You don't have to be here every single week on the radio doing what Darren Eales did. Absolutely. I'm not saying that. I am the Garth super fan. Okay. I have been shielding him from on Spaces since the day he's come on here and preached time. He needs time. However, now you're here right now. You are where you are, and they just want to hear something. And you know what? I think that this week would be a perfect time. Your fans are there. Whether you do want to do an interview before the game on Saturday afternoon, if you want to do a radio drop around then, you need the fans to hear something from you, because right now you are going to lose them, and you already are losing some for sure. But man, the best franchises out there are the ones that do talk to the fans. They don't hide when things go wrong. I just want to hear something. And you know, we got tagged joking around in another Discord saying the Scarves and Spikes crew all picked Atlanta United to lose this week. Well,
I mean,
power to us.
Shows
that
we deserve to be picked to win.
I mean, you've lost Tyler. You've lost Tyler. I tried to defend this team last week.
Of no return, honestly.
That's when you know when the team's going back, when you lose Tyler. And he would agree. He would agree. Guys, I want to ask you about something else that Ronnie Dyla said after the match. He said the team's scared to lose. And I agree. I feel like they are scared to lose. You know, Tommy, to your point, after the penalty, you see the body language. They just dropped. And Tommy, I know you got to bounce here in a second, but maybe we can address that just a little bit. There's no use arguing whether it's a penalty or not. I'm of the impression that there's no way you can look at it and say there's clear and obvious evidence that there is a penalty. That's out the window now. But the body language just striking. You just see in the players' faces. It's just the spirit was just gone. out of them, and ultimately the rest is history. But they just have to get out of that mindset, I think, of being scared to lose. And I feel like still some players on the pitch are just, we use the hockey analogy again, gripping the stick too tight, or baseball, gripping the bat too tight. I feel like it's still happening. And I saw some PTSD going on in this in this roster, and that's not alleviating Ronnie Dial of any blame. I feel like he has not put this team in the best position to win as far as tactics and player selection is concerned. But it seems like these players are just scared. Like, if I make a wrong touch or I make a bad pass, it's just going to blow up in my face. And right now, it's blowing up in your face. And what it's doing is proving these players right to some extent. So it's just a mentality thing, like Ronnie Dial said, which that's a mindset, which I agree with. But not 10 matches in, I would have thought that we'd have been past that. Really, it's just. I mean, what do you guys think of that particular quote from Dyla? Team is scared to lose.
I'll go real quick because I got to run here. But I don't think they're afraid to lose. I don't think they're afraid to win. I don't know if they're interested in anything at this moment. I mean, what you could tell, what you see on the field, this does not look like a organized team. Fortunately, coming up in the next couple of weeks, they're afternoon games, so we can watch MLS at night and click that we're safe from watching Atlanta United after 7:00. But when I have been able to watch other teams, even some of I don't watch Montreal. I'm not that low. I can't get that low.
Yeah,
I can't talk shit about Vancouver anymore, so we got to go to Montreal. But no one else looks as bad. That at least that I have watched, there's not a team that looks this disjointed than Atlanta United at this point.
Yeah.
And I'll take a step further. I'm a Manchester United fan, and at least when I watch those games, I know that Bruno is going to give his heart at every single game that he plays, and they've got a chance because that one player is able to get results out of that, which is crazy that he can on such a bad team. I didn't get that from anybody. I mean, even you saw Taylor Twellman tweet about Miguel Almiron. When I joined the watch along about 10 minutes late, and there was a point where I said, has he even touched the ball yet? How is he not touching the ball as much as he should be? Because he's one of your better players, especially with Latte Lascon, and he's not even touching the ball. Right now, nobody looks like they're interested in playing this game or playing as a team. So don't.
Besides Saba in the homegrowns.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And Saba's, just to go hard all the time there. But don't question me when I'm wondering if these guys are doing anything outside, the karaoke thing or whatever that I tweeted the other day. Because what are they doing? What are they doing at practice? Do they just go there, work out, just get by, and then just say screw it when it comes to match day? Because that's what it's looking like to me, that they're not obtaining anything. Because remember what Tyler said and Henry when they were at practice earlier in the year, everything has a purpose. Everything that they're doing for a specific game has a purpose. And then Tyler came out and said the next week, see, this is what they were trying. They tried this in practice because they were going into this type of game. What are they doing now? Are they just watching reruns of old shows? Because you don't see anything that to make the specific game against a specific team good. I don't understand what they're trying to do all week at practice, because 2 weeks of practice, and you've seen the worst Atlanta United in the history of this team. It really is. That's what someone asked in our Discord. Is this the worst you've ever seen it? This is more boring than the COVID teams, more boring than the last season, right before Pineda got fired, worse than when Miles Robinson and everybody was hurt that one summer. This is the worst we have ever seen this team play in these two games back to back. With that, I wish you good luck.
Thanks, Tommy.
Thanks for everyone for hanging out with us tonight. We appreciate it.
We appreciate you.
Hate this damn team.
See you, Tommy.
See you, Tommy. What do you think, Jackson?
Well, I understand if they're scared to lose. You probably saw that when Orlando had over 70% possession, like 75% possession in the opening, 15, 20 minutes of the game, when Atlanta was just bunkering for their lives out of the gate. It was a 0-0 game and you're bunkering for your life. But once they concede the penalty, if you were truly scared to lose, you would be running into that net, grabbing the ball and taking it back to the center circle to get this thing started and get back in it. We didn't see that. We didn't see that. If there was a true fear of losing, you would be fighting tooth and nail to get back in this game. They did not lose a single tooth. They did not lose a single nail. They caved. They caved hard. And hearing that quote made me go back to Yorgos Yakimaki's press conference at Cruz Azul when he transferred.
Yeah.
He said, in MLS, it's okay to lose some games. And he got a lot of flack for that.
He wasn't wrong.
But he wasn't wrong. He wasn't wrong. And that he was speaking bluntly and clearly about the mental state of the team of Atlanta United. And I mean, when you have, a whole other half of a season to go and make the playoffs and then you're good, and there's no repercussions. I mean, last year's repercussions got washed away with the Miami result in the playoffs. And I mean, at this point, because it's quote okay to lose,
right,
do two changes at this point even do anything? That's the scary part. That's the real fear here. It's not losing. It's the fact that you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
And at this point in the season, when you're looking at, what are there, 26 games to go?
24.
24?
Yeah.
When you're looking at that long road ahead, there's nothing you can do to change it. You're just resigned to your fate. I mean, what kind of season is that? We're going to have like 15 people in Mercedes-Benz Stadium come, August, September. I mean, it's going to look like Gillette Stadium out there.
Yeah, no kidding. So let's take a look, Jackson, at May. Let's take a look match by match, see what Atlanta United has coming up, because my goodness, this is already May. It's crazy to think about that we're already in May. But let's take a look at the schedule just quickly. Saturday, of course, home against Nashville. The Saturday after that, May 10th, you're at Chicago. That Wednesday, the 14th, you're in Austin. So fixture congestion started to creep in just a little bit. Then you come back home to play Philadelphia, Cincinnati, and Orlando City. So that's your 6 matches right now as it stands. Taking a look at those matches, and after reading off the opponents that I just read off, how many points do you think Atlanta United gets in the next 6 matches? Or let me just say, how many points did they get in May? How many points did they get in May?
Yeah. Well, we've seen 2 of those teams very recently. We've seen Philadelphia. We've seen Orlando. And we know how those went. 3-0, 3-0.
Yeah.
Chicago and Austin are your most favorable opponents to play, but those are on the road. And, on the road, I mean, things go out the window in MLS. You can't expect Nashville with the high they're on to lose to Atlanta United. You can't think that. Chicago and Austin, maybe you can get a win out of Chicago, maybe a draw out of Austin. I don't know. 4 points, you're being optimistic. But does this team really beat Philadelphia, Cincinnati, or Orlando in that home stretch at the end of May?
Yeah.
I mean, after seeing what you just saw, no. I mean, you're looking at, say you luck into a draw of 1 or 2 of those. I mean, that'd be
nice.
Optimistically 6 points, 5 or 6 points. That out of how many games is that? 6 games?
6. Yeah.
So it's a 1 point per game. That's not getting you anywhere.
Yeah.
It's not getting you anywhere. There's no difference. I guess you have Red Bulls right after that, May 31st, and Red Bull
7
Arena,
matches.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
7 matches.
It's like what can you do? It's
Right.
and 1 point per game isn't climbing the table at all. I mean, I
Right.
think that's where you're at, aren't you?
Pretty much. So
9 points from 10, and you're under that
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah. So we did forget about the Red Bulls match. Thanks for flagging that for sure. But
Like that makes a
it's just
difference.
yeah, right at this point. But no. So I'll just kind of walk through it too, and just kind of do the math in my head as I do. So Nashville, oh man, I a funny way. I expect maybe a draw. So say you draw Nashville. Chicago, I don't think you'll win against Chicago. I feel like that would be probably a draw, to be honest with you. So that's 2 points right there. Austin, I feel like, just gut feeling that'll be a loss. So that's 2 points through 3. Philadelphia, that's a loss at home. 2 points through 4. Cincinnati, that's a loss. I feel like 2 points in 5. Orlando City, 2 points. If you look at the schedule, Jackson, like you'd be fortunate to get 3 points. I feel like you could get 3 points against Nashville, Chicago, maybe Red Bulls. So I'll go on record and say you draw Nashville, you draw Chicago on the road, you draw Red Bulls on the road, end of May. Maybe you scratch something out in Austin because I'm still not too convinced about Austin. Maybe they'll get clicking further along in the season. I'm just still not too convinced about Austin. Maybe you win. So let's say I'll take a glass half full. You beat Austin, you draw Nashville, Chicago, you draw Red Bulls. So that's 6 points through 7 matches. That's still not good enough. And
that's best case scenario. That's your
that's best case scenario. Yeah. So you're pretty close to desperate times because if you're to have any shot at the playoffs, you have to go on this torrid run. And I say it all the time, you can't make the playoffs through 10, 15 matches, but you can certainly lose yourself in the playoffs through 10, 15 matches to start the season. And, it's just disappointing that we have to look at the schedule and say, Atlanta United, maybe they win this one, maybe they lose. This was a team not that long ago when it started that, you just expected them to win every time it hit the pitch. And right now it's just tough to see any match where they have legitimate chance where you can look at it and say, hey, Atlanta United is a dead-on favorite to win this match. At best, one or two of these, they're even. At best. At worst, they're not favored at any of these matches.
Is there a single team in the league? Maybe the Galaxy. Maybe
Montreal.
Even Montreal. I mean, that was the first game of the season. It was still close.
Yeah. Perhaps that should have been a red flag for the future. And let's not forget, again, New York City. You're like, without the changes you made to your lineup, to your tactics, you're looking at no points for that match. So there could be a realistic chance that this team could be 6 points through 10 matches. So it's just very disappointing to see where this team is right now, and just very disappointing to look at the schedule coming up in May and just have any optimism about where they're going to be. This could get uglier.
Is June any better?
Let's look at it.
Yeah, you have 4 games.
Yeah.
You're on the road for all of them.
Yeah. We may as well just group all the 6
2 of those
away
are
games.
Columbus and Miami.
2 of those are Columbus and Miami.
Yeah. No shot at all.
Well, I mean, I will say last year we thought we had no shot against Columbus when they came into Mercedes-Benz, and that ended up being a win. I hope, as we kind of draw this to a close, I hope that, maybe do scratch out a win. Maybe that does give you some optimism, because a win, 3 points goes a long way. Michael Parker said it. It doesn't need to be pretty. Like, if you scratch out a 1-0 win where the other team lets in the lone goal, I mean, at least that's 3 points. They don't get style points. They don't get extra points to figure out how pretty the match is. Just as long as you win. You score more goals than the other team, that's 3 points all the way. Maybe you need something like that just to say, hey, we actually did win a match. And maybe that's the spark they need to really get things going. But right now, I don't see it. It's just very disappointing.
Does a win rectify the culture around this team? Can one win do that? A 1-0 win at least? Maybe if you go out there and smash a team 4-0, you can be like, okay, I mean, they have it in them. But 1-0, a 1-0 win, while I'd welcome it, open arms.
Yeah.
That doesn't prove anything with a, $50 million attack. It doesn't prove. It's really sad to say, but it's going to take more than a single win to turn any of this around.
No, and to that point, I say at least it's a step in the right direction.
Better than losing 3-0. I'll take
better than losing 3-0. But you have Lotte coming back against Nashville, and perhaps that's something you can rally around. Perhaps you can rally around the fact that you're back at home, in front of your fans. But it might not be a great turnout because you have the Braves playing later on the night against the Dodgers. That's always a big draw. So it's probably going to be either one or the other, and the Braves might win out. But yeah, it seems just in a very bad way. And I hate talking about this stuff when they're losing. I mean, we're here, but I just hate talking about losing football.
Yeah, the one thing I've in my darkest spiral after last night, I was thinking about about 2018. The good old days, the glory days, whatever you want to call it. If Atlanta United hadn't won MLS Cup in 2018, what would the state of this team even be? If there were no quote unquote glory days, I mean, without that, what would this fan base look like? Like, Atlanta United was so fortunate to have the first 3 years that they did.
Yeah.
And those 3 years captured the hearts of so many fans and brought them, and to this day, still dedicated supporters of this team. If those 3 years never happened, say this team came in 2020,
right,
and right off the bat, COVID. That's what Miami went through, right? I mean, luckily they were able to, put their money towards some certain players and get certain benefits from certain people. Not going to go into detail.
Right. Messy.
But if that never happened, what would this team even be? And that's really scary to think about.
Yeah, and hopefully sooner rather than later we're back to those glory days, but doesn't look like it right now. And now you've lost back-to-back matches 3-0. And I'll say what I said earlier. You would have thought that losing 3-0 to Philadelphia would have been a wake-up call. They did it again against Orlando. Hopefully that's a wake-up call, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Man, I guess just keep watching and hoping that something changes is all you can say.
Yeah.
Maybe just watching the lineup for Nashville, maybe Ronnie starts switching it up. Could that be a sign of desperation? Probably. Does Ronnie Dyla have the ability to, I guess it'd be admitting defeat to his tactical setup and being more flexible with his roster decisions? Is he willing to allow those changes to be made? And if so, how do those changes affect the team, if they even are made? Will we see those changes this weekend, or is it not that desperate in the minds of the technical staff yet? Who's to say? I mean, we'll find out again on Saturday.
You have to swallow your pride if you're Ronny Deila. So far, he's the definition of insanity is doing the same things over and over again, expecting different results. And so far, he's been doing the same things over and over again. I feel like he has to swallow his pride and say, hey, what I'm doing is not working. I need to make changes for the betterment of the team and for really his job's sake, because, if he doesn't make any changes, if he doesn't make the necessary tweaks that need to be made in this team, in this roster, in the starting 11, it's only going to get worse before it gets better. And as Tommy said, sooner or later you're going to be playing to a half-empty Mercedes-Benz Stadium. That's the last thing you want. Is it going to take that to get this team out of the funk it's in? Is it going to take that for Deila to finally come to terms with the fact that maybe what he's doing isn't working? Hopefully not. And hopefully, on Saturday we see some changes to that approach.
Yeah. And if nothing else, play the kids.
Yeah.
Atlanta United has had one of the oldest rosters in the league this year.
Yeah.
If nothing else, give them experience. Get them out there. Get the development going. I want to see Dominic Chonky. I want to see Matt Edwards. Give them minutes out there. That can only help you in the long run. If it's not going to get any better now, might as well plan for the future. And that's really crazy to say on April 27th.
Right.
Isn't it? But at worst, I'd be more excited to see it than another 3-0 loss.
Yeah. Just show something. Show something on Saturday. Yeah. Better than what you've shown over the past few matches. Yeah. And I think I'll be happy. Be happy with 3 points, but be happy you just show some effort against Nashville. ScarsandSpikes.com is where you can find all of our written content. Henry, as Jackson said, put something up earlier about the technical changes that Ronny Deila needs to make. He did it against NYCFC. Why hasn't he done it since? So he goes into that. There's a link to our store there as well. Get Scarves and Spikes merchandise. It helps us out to continue to cover the team and gives you the content that you appreciate here. So we really do appreciate that in advance. Patreon.com/Scarves and Spikes. Again, starting at $1.17 a month, $5 a month, $10 a month. Get you access to our Discord, get you access to our Scarves and Spikes unfiltered videos, our Ask Me Anythings, mailbags, watch-alongs, etc. We did it
group therapy
for the Orlando match. Group therapy, etc. Exactly. That's cheap group therapy. That's a pretty good deal for group therapy. Sorry, $1.50 a month. So Patreon.com/Scarves and Spikes. You get access to that. And of course, again, thanks to Sweetwater Brewing Company for their support of Scarves and Spikes. Go to sweetwaterbrew.com for more information on where to buy and the products that they brew. We are done. We will get out of here.
Till next time.
Yes. Hopefully we're talking about a win. Oh, by the way, our pre-match show at the Signia by Hilton Hotel. Please come to that before the national match on Saturday. The music is not playing for some reason.
Uh-oh.
I'm just gonna get us out of here.
Do I need to try to replicate it?
We'll patch it in. We'll patch it in post-production here.
Post-production. Yeah. Edit it in. Just imagine the song is playing.
Yeah.
Imagine Atlanta United just beat Orlando. Imagine you're on a sunny beach somewhere, sipping a pina colada.
Right.
Life is good again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Y'all should go treat yourself. If you're still watching these games, go treat yourself.
I know.
Go do something for yourself. Go have a vacation.
Drink responsibly.
Drink responsibly. Alcohol is not a healthy form of coping.
Yes.
PSA
no,
from your friends at Scarves and Spikes.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Sweetwater would agree.
Yes, they would. They would you buy their products, but in moderation, of course.
Yes.